Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here and glad you're here early. We really don't know. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there are 28 people there. So
already, and those are the 28 people who read the note that we sent out. And it's so hard to read everything that comes by your desk. We tried to let people know. There it goes. At any rate, we try to. What was I talking about? I just told Sue Gruber. I can't remember anything unless I pin a note to my shirt, and I have to use a straight pin so it sticks me once in a while.
To remember.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we wrote a note on the invitation to say that check in early because we really don't know when we invite the world in whether we'll top our number. We have a 300 number, so I can't see that we'll probably get that many people. But just in case, I wouldn't want any of the regular people to email us and say I can't get in which case we'd have to knock somebody out. We'd have to pick somebody and say, okay, last one in.
Checked email, but there wasn't any a little while ago.
But one just came in, speaking of which, be right back. You guys going to check email. There it is. Because something went ding. Oh, okay.
It's from Cindy.
Maybe I was one of them. Last week, I couldn't find the Zoom link.
Yeah, we had a problem last week with our, where am I? There I am. We had a problem last week with our website. We have.
Sounds like we still might be on the forum.
No, there should not be any issues. Thank you for saying something about that, though.
Karen, yeah.
Karen, we have last week our security certificate, which you purchase for your website and the programmer puts onto your site so that the site works with some different protocols that makes it more secure talking to other sites. And it gives you the little S, your HTTPS. Last week on Sunday, our certificate expired, which shouldn't have been any deal because we renewed it, except that dummies that we are, we didn't know that when you
include install.
Yeah, renewal doesn't mean that they installed it. So we had to get our programmer who was on vacation, she's such a sweetheart, to get in and put it up for us. So for a couple of days, we were sending the message that we weren't secure. Not that we weren't secure, just that we didn't have the security certificate that had the extra steps that some places take. I laugh a little bit because I look at a lot of government sites, .gov.
ESPN's unsecure.
Right, I go to .gov sites, and the government is the internet. I mean, they started it here, and yet some of their sites aren't secure. So if you get a not secure thing, let us know because it's not supposed to be happening anymore. And if you get a not secure thing, you can go to exceptions. Click exceptions on the dialog box and then go to, advanced. You click advanced in the little box, and then that gives you a place where you can say exception and admit us. But let us know that that's what's going on. No, that's not what I'm supposed to be talking about. Okay, those of you who are new to us here, we're starting the actual webinar at 8:30. Main topic today is pruning overgrown plants. But first we go through turn off your microphone and make sure your camera is off because we want to be able to have people talk. Carol, it might be a problem on is anyone else hearing an echo? If anyone else is hearing an echo, could you let us know? We think our microphone is okay. I dropped it the other week, but we think it's okay. We do want people to ask questions. There's already one in chat and thanks Michelle, thanks Nancy, Karen. We do want people to ask questions, and for the most part we use chat for that, or if you don't want to chat, because you don't have to chat, some of us don't like to spend time figuring out how to write it down. Sonia co-host as she comes in here.
Yep, and I'm just listening to see if I can tell any echo or anything.
Yeah, not hearing anything. We've heard from several people, so it might be a matter of click off and click back in again. There shouldn't be any problem getting back in. We're not going to have a flood of people right this minute.
Sometimes with echoing, if you have another microphone or another set of speakers connected to the computer at all, or if possibly you have anyone else in the house who might be connecting to the meeting, that might sometimes produce an echo.
Yeah, we've been amazed that even if Steve sits on a separate machine down in another room, we can echo back and forth. I mean, he's 35, 40 feet away down a hall, and we can still pick up an echo. At any rate, we want you to be able to find the chat box and the raise your hand control. So first off, be assured that if you have a slash through your microphone and your video, which means they're off, then your picture will not be showing up. Your noise will not be showing up.
Yep.
Your dog won't be barking on our screen. Everybody can be happy that way. But if you open your participants window, there will be in there a raise your hand control. Now, the raise your hand control might also be in reactions or down by itself on the bottom of the screen, but
nothing's consistent.
Right. It depends on your device and your version of Zoom. But the point is, if you don't want to use the chat to ask a question, then find the raise your hand button, because when we get to a question and answer session, if you raise your hand, you'll pop to the top of our participants list, and we'll be able to give you the go ahead to turn your microphone on. Then you can click your microphone so that it turns on and you can ask the question out loud, which is fine. We'd like to hear somebody other than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Once in a while.
If you open the chat, that's where if it says to everyone, make sure it says to everyone, unless you're good at doing this and want to chat just to a friend, or have a technical problem you want to send just to somebody, remember to put it to everyone. Once you type something in there, if you hit return, it pops up. Sonia can put that in queue for us for a question and answer session, or she can answer it, or other people answer it. There's literally good questions there. And you can save the chat. I went to a webinar on hydrangeas two weeks ago, and you couldn't save the chat. You couldn't even copy the chat. And I thought, all this good stuff that was in there. Anyway, so you can save the chat. On some devices, you can't save it, in which case send us an email. We always have a text copy of it. It's just a raw copy, but we've always got a copy of it we can send to you.
And if you come in later, you only get to chat from when you come in. So if there was something you think you missed, you may want to ask us for that.
That's a good point. It's a good point. So it's that ... that generally has the saved chat. The note-taking guide is, we think, our shortest one ever. Maybe ever for any class. And Steve hopes that everybody understands it. I said, can you take a look? Can you follow it? We'll take you through it a piece at a time. But it is on our website. I've just put the message into chat. If you haven't gotten it yet, then grab it. If you grabbed it early before, I don't know. Well, if you grabbed it early when the invitation first came out, it was missing a word right here, the, and it said, note the work and wait. It means note the work and the wait we described.
Yes.
I forgot that the in there. Okay, so I saw a question roll by, and I can't.
There are two pruning questions, but there's also a question from Barb, and she's suggesting after the webinar starts, can you talk more about the membership for season 3? It says Groundbreakers only include 12 live sessions. I might have missed something, and yeah, it might be worth actually walking through the new format, the new plan.
Okay.
But I think Barb's also right. Maybe after webinar starts as part of the intro. Does that make sense?
It does make good sense.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have questions from Maria, maybe it might be Shapiro, and Shapiro's last name is Maria, about when is the best time to prune my overgrown Montauk daisies, and how far down should I prune them? The new growth is already visible.
Now.
Stephen picked up this stuff from the lawn, and he said, is this the Montauk daisy?
It's sprouting, it's going. I mean, you cut it down now if you want it small.
I cut it right. It's prettier when it's cut down. it is a shrub, and it gets to be gangly and laid out open. It'll bloom a little bit later if you cut it all the way back, but that's what we do. We cut it all the way back. It's I probably left 2 buds at the bottom of the branch. When
it had maybe 100 on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it had buds everywhere.
But it was funny when Steve picked it up. He looked. He said, "This is." Did you pull out our Montauk daisy? I said, no, I just clipped it off real short. Montauk daisy It used to be a chrysanthemum, and now I can't remember what they changed its name to, but it's a daisy mom relative that blooms very late with great big white daisies. It usually for us it blooms in September sometime.
It was even into November this year.
Yeah, it just kept on going.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also have, and we also have a question from Stacy. A friend has a mature lilac about 5 feet tall. It's been a good bloomer, but last year half the plant died. I suspect it has a disease based on internet search, but was wondering if the rest of the plant will succumb, or should she remove the dead part and let the plant reflush? If she has to remove it, could she replant in the same area, or should she pick a new location?
It's a good question, but without knowing what it is, there is a virus that lilacs can get, which is terrible. It wiped out a lot of lilac collections in botanic gardens in the 70s or 80s. It did, however, renew, let's see, those, they said if they would sucker, they would have come back. So I would try cutting it back, but not knowing what the problem is and seeing half of it dead, I would be sterilizing my pruners between each cut. I'd take an antiseptic on a cloth and be wiping my blade off as I sawed off branches, and take a good look at the branch for damage.
Yeah, make sure there's not borer damage on some of the bigger canes. If you have a lilac with 4 big canes in it and 2 of those canes die, it will appear that half of it has that due to the borer, but it could be, without seeing it, we couldn't say for sure.
Yeah, and it might have been chewed at the base too, and somebody didn't notice, because if half of it died, July, once it got hot and a bit dry, that's what happens when a rabbit or voles chew the base and take the cambium off. Long about July, there's not enough connection to the roots for the plant to keep going, and so it could be that. Let us know what you find. Take a look with her and take some pictures.
Great. And then we have a hand up from Nancy. Nancy, want to go ahead? No, maybe Nancy. I'll ask.
I'm going to propose or present a question that came from Tia this week, and she asked whether she can cut.
Oh, sorry. Can I pause for 1 second? Sorry, Nancy, I think there might be something wrong with your mic, because I can see it is on and trying to jump, but it is not sending sound. So we might have a mic issue.
Are you hearing me now?
There you are.
Yep, there you are.
Okay, great. Okay, this is the dreaded big leaf hydrangea question.
It had to come. Yes.
So I've got a bunch of people. I'm gonna tell them, cover your hydrangeas when they're predicting a frost. Is this now too early? Because have they actually started budding out yet with their flower buds, or should I wait till the April when it's nice and warmer, and then we get the freeze?
Let me restate that in case people couldn't hear. It's the dreaded big leaf hydrangea question about whether or not people should be covering their hydrangeas. Yeah, would they be already budding out? Would it be okay to do that? The big leaf hydrangea is going to bloom if the buds at the tip of the branch, top of the branch, that were set last year and covered in brown scales, if those buds survive the winter and any pruning mishaps or deer, if those survive the winter, then the plant can extend from those and bloom this year like it's supposed to. If those died over the winter, they dried out or got killed by cold or something nipped them off, they won't be there. So the first thing I tell people about their big leaf hydrangeas who are concerned about them is see if the buds are alive. And you can tell. Feel the bud at the tip. It either feels firm and soft, or it's dried out, or it falls off, or it's missing.
If it's black.
Yeah. In which case, don't worry about covering them. They'll be fine. They'll still grow green. They might bloom late and from the low parts of the plant, but not the top. If the buds are alive, then you could cover them. But if they've made it through winter alive to this point, this that we have coming right now, that's 20 degrees, 19 degrees, 18 degrees, and moist, is not going to kill them. What happens with them is when they open and begin growing, and then we get a cold snap, then they could get killed. So you might want to cover them. We suggested to a different Nancy a while back to put a hat over them. It's the that's the Fuki. I can't remember the words for the Japanese winter protection. They're such cool words, but there's a word that means snow hat to put over the top of it. If you put stakes on either side of it and put a cover, maybe a burlap cover or a cloth, not plastic. You don't want it to touch the plant, especially. It'll keep some of the warmth that's radiating out of the ground always. It'll push it back up and down. So you can put a hat over the top of it once it starts budding out. I hope that makes sense.
So that would be now they're budding out? Or?
That'd be now. Yeah, the easy way to do it is to put it out now. I can get a stake in the ground now. It's thawed. And it's probably not going to kill the buds. If they're not opened up, it's not going to kill them. But if they're opened up, if they've already started growing, then good, it's protection. If they haven't opened up, the protection is there already if they open up when you're not looking at them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It is snowing.
And that did about blow our time to 8:30, I'm afraid, 8:29.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. This is what this is for. We can save our questions that came in on email for another time.